This is Financially Fit Business with Ruth King.
Welcome to the Financially Fit Business Podcast. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to the health of your business or your clients' businesses. I'm your host, Ruth King. Here's how we will help you increase the financial fitness of your businesses today. As CPA, do you think colors matter to your clients? How about defining your moose? What in the world am I talking about? Well, subtle ways that you can market and become identifiable to your clients. My guest today, Kay Miller, along with her husband, Steve, will discuss how easy it is to identify your moose and your color. Steve walked off and said, do good. So we are going to do good. Kay, welcome to the Financially Fit Business Podcast.
Well, thank you, Ruth. It's great to be here. I always love chatting with you.
My pleasure. So I want to talk about something that most people don't even think about. Most CPAs don't even think about, and that's color. I mean, you and Steve have identified the color orange as your color, correct?
Correct. I wear it everywhere now out of habit.
Yeah. Well, the thing, and I remember the story where somebody became a client because they knew that you had always marketed orange and everything along those lines. And they happened to see, I think it was an Astros game.
Yes.
It was orange. And it was like, okay, I need to call Steve and Kay. I mean, so you never know where your clients are coming from based on colors.
Right. And, you want to differentiate yourself from everyone else. And along with, the things like values and, what you can solve for them is, a big thing is being memorable. And so having a color, or you can come up with a language or something kind of quirky. One gal had bright red hair. That was her, how people remember her. So yes, there is magic in having anchors, which is orange, and triggers going to the Astros game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So in the intro, I mentioned moose, and I found you and Steve through many years ago through the book Uncopyable, which you really described moose. So describe what a moose is.
Okay, I would love to. Right. The original Uncopyable book. Now we have many, and he and I have co-written some, and we've each written some. But the best explanation of moose is in that original Uncopyable book. And in that he has a marketing diamond, and that's where the Uncopyable framework starts. And it's moose, message, media, and moment. Now, media these days could be method, because I don't think we think of LinkedIn, filters as media, but that's the marketing diamond. So the moose is critical. I've been in sales for years, and I love this line that closing isn't persuasion. It starts with targeting. If you have the wrong prospect, you're just not going to sell them. They're not going to do business with you or buy from you. So it's so important to really define who you want to deal with, who you want to impress, who you want to be drawn to you when you communicate with what we call moose bait. So how do you do that? First, you define your moose, and there might be different parameters for you. For CPAs, I'm guessing it's geography. Would I be correct, Ruth?
Geography? Yes, you are geography for a lot of them.
Yes. So that's a kind of an obvious one maybe, but look at the revenue potential, the size, because you have a certain size that you want and that you can handle their business. So look at who would be the ideal prospect. Now, a great way to do that is to look at your current clients. Doesn't that sound like a great shortcut?
Yeah, it's funny. It's true, but think about the moose. You talk and Steve talks about moose. You're going to shoot a moose. You're not going to use a spray thing. You just want to go and kill the moose, so to speak. Not spray everything around and try to get all the other animals in the forest. Go look for your moose.
Yeah, I should give a quick background on that, because just imagine you were a moose hunter. I don't know if anyone listening is actually a moose hunter, but if you were, you wouldn't just go into the forest and, try to get rabbits and squirrels and badgers or whatever. You'd only focus on the moose. And that the targeting of just one type of prospect is so powerful. It affects everything else. So first is define your moose. And guess what? I'm sure Ruth would agree. Use AI for everything. Well, to help, AI can guide you. It can find patterns, like in your best customers that you choose. And it can help you create a detailed moose profile. And if you use AI quite a bit, it knows you and it can help guide you through that process. So then you're not, that's not spray and pray, as the saying goes. It's more of a targeted focus so you can speak to them and their pain or their problem.
Yeah. I have never put in ChatGPT, and I probably should just to see what comes out. Who is my moose? I would be curious to see whether ChatGPT even understood what I was talking about.
I bet it would. Is that your platform of choice?
Well, I put it in ChatGPT and Copilot and Gemini and Claude. I mean, I played the large language models off each other. So ChatGPT comes up with one thing and Claude comes up with something else. I'll say in Claude, well, ChatGPT said this. And in ChatGPT, I will say, Claude said this, and let them debate it.
I love that. I love that. I do that some too, but more than two platforms just gets overwhelming for me. I quit losing track of things. Claude I use, but really ChatGPT, even the content it produces has gotten way better.
Yeah. The picture library is really good now. It's much better than Nano Bananas. And I'm sure that Google will make their library better now that ChatGPT has leaped ahead of them, and then they're going to leap ahead of ChatGPT and everything else like that. All right, so let's go back to defining a moose. So, I'm a CPA here, and we look at our client base, and we say, okay, the first part of the diamond is identifying the moose, right?
Yes.
All right. So we go to our client base and we put our client. I'm not sure I want to put my clients in ChatGPT because I'm not sure I want them knowing ChatGPT, knowing who my clients are.
Interesting point.
I don't know whether, I'm not sure that that's ethical, to tell you the honest truth, but you can say I have a client who does X, Y, and Z and A, B, and C. They're this size business in this particular industry, and, they're in these particular locations and produces these type of products. So that you could probably do. I'm not sure I would put client names in there. It wouldn't be a good idea.
Good point. I have, full disclosure, done that in the past pretty much with the client, but you're right. There's some gray area in there, and maybe it's just black and white. But one thing that's really important is the moose has to have an acknowledged need. Sometimes you don't know that until you actually get to have some one-on-one contact. You could define them with everyone else, but they have to be open to your idea or your service, your CPA service. We had a client that targeted water utilities, and it's a cybersecurity firm. Well, that was a bust because the people who are running their water utilities are mostly old white men who are getting ready to retire, and they didn't want to take a risk. So there's that acknowledged need. Of course, if you're a great salesperson, you can sometimes uncover that pain, help them feel that pain, massage it. So, I'd say first step is to really drill down on what would be important. And as I mentioned, Ruth, I have a worksheet that can send to, or people can request. And it is, I'll just tell you, beuncopyable.com/moose-ruth. And that gives you the exact questions to help guide you through this process. And it's just, it's so helpful. It's like having a coworker. So whatever you feel comfortable with asking, I say go for it.
All right. So we'll be right back. We're going to continue the moose conversation. And thank you for listening to the Financially Fit Business Podcast. We'll be right back.
Financial advisory services are the key to the longevity of the accounting profession. If you want to get started providing advisory services or want a review of a finance course you took in college, Ruth King's manual, Understanding Financial Trends Analysis, might be your first step. This manual gives you the information you need to help your clients with their financial statements. A great start or addition to your financial advisory practice. You help them with clarity on their business's financial health, the ability to spot impending issues and resolve them before they become a major crisis. Less stress and sleepless nights worrying about the financial part of their business. Your Financial Statement Trends Analysis Manual is the reference guide. What do you want in your financial advisory services practice? Click on the link below for more information and to order.
We're back. Thanks for listening to the Financially Fit Business Podcast. Before the break, Kay Miller gave a worksheet that you can use to define your moose. And I would also suggest that they get the book Uncopyable. It will really help them define who, what, when, where, why, and how. And it's not an expensive book. It's a quick read, and will help you a lot. But okay, so now we've defined our moose. All right. So we're CPA. We do bookkeeping. We are looking at it. Some of our clients want bookkeeping. Some of them don't. Some of them want us to review the financial statements with them every month. Some of them don't. So are we looking for, can we do 2 moose? Or do we need only to have 1 moose?
No, I would say you definitely can have more than 1 moose because I covered the Marketing Diamond from the book you just mentioned. I agree. Everyone should read it. It's so good. Moose, message, media, or method and moment. Well, we talk about the message as ideally being moose bait. So you want to put out a message that deals with their pain and exactly what they're going through, and perhaps citing a current customer and saying, this was their problem and here's what the result was. So your message, the more you can drill down, the better. I mean, yes, I'd say 2 moose. Some people actually call them moose and rabbits, which is, pick a different, but I just like to say, yeah, you have different moose.
Okay. So you can have a different moose name different names. And so there still will be moose, but think about it from a CPA perspective. When your clients get in pain is when you call them on the phone and tell them they have a, $50,000 tax bill or, $20,000 tax bill and they weren't expecting it. That's when you can start really doing messaging well, because they can identify with that. And then we help this client do this, and go from there. So
Right.
after message comes media. So what's the media?
Well, the media is your way of reaching your moose because you've got to find them. Now, there are a lot of ways to do that. I'll talk about a few. And like I said in the first part, media, think of it as your method of finding your moose. So first of all, where are they? Are there associations or local associations, state associations that you could go to? Just in general, networking and referrals, those are great ways to find your moose. But also you can use AI prospecting tools. LinkedIn, even on the free account, you can, filter. You know what the Boolean method is, right, Ruth?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's where you can say and or. So you can find specific, prospects that can be your moose. As I said, maybe you can't answer every question by looking them up, but you can find a lot of information. There is a prospecting tool, No Data, No Business. Are you familiar with that?
No, I don't know that one. Explain that one.
I just used this with a client recently, and that what it does is you say, I want rental companies that serve this kind of client, and I want it to be in this area. And you just define your parameters, and then you put that in, and it comes back with a list. And, sometimes what we did is we started with all the ones that had the most stars and we think would be could afford that. And also you can see the number of reviews. That tells you how big they are. So everyone should have a Google. You could find them on Google. There's also, that's the one I've used. It's really inexpensive and it's powerful for what it does. There are also really sophisticated tools. There's, of course, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which I do not pay for, but you can do the regular free account and search your client on LinkedIn. Actually, sorry, I meant to say, so I'm on to Zoom Info and Apollo. Those are two of the, I don't know what you say, companies, platforms that will help you find your moose, but they are expensive and more complicated. So really think about the low-hanging fruit. Where do your prospects hang out? Is that somewhere where you can reach them and, communicate? If you're having a budget, have the budget, you could go to a trade show. And that's an option too. So there are multiple tools that you can use, but knowing who you're looking for in great detail will help you.
Good. And then last, there was moment.
There was moment. So that's, I think, where we talked about briefly in the first episode is when the moment comes that they do make a decision, if it's not right away, you don't want to be one of the companies that they think about. You want to be the only one. Or the only bookkeeper. You want to separate yourself from the competition. So, as you mentioned, color is one thing that makes you memorable. I worked with a chain of retirement homes a while ago, and the senior centers would go to a whole bunch of retirement homes or retirement facilities. And the biggest problem is afterwards, they couldn't remember who was who. So you want to be memorable. You do all that work. You might get them on the phone. You might even visit them and they say, yeah, I want to do this, but I need a little more time or whatever they do. They're not saying yes right now. You don't want to fall off of their mind. You want to be on the mind and, on the mind of the prospect when the prospect is ready to buy. So being uncopyable is your mission, and you've got to be uncopyable to your moose. But read the book. We don't have enough time to talk about all that, how you can separate what you offer from everyone else.
Sounds great. Kay, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Ruth. I appreciate it.
And thanks to all of you for joining us. Choose one thing that you discovered and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, have more free time, and give back. If you like today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you're listening to it on. Help a business owner improve the health of his company. For comments or questions, call me at 770-729-8000 or email rking@financiallyfit.business. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable day.